Well, folks, welcome back to this episode of Brew Time, and this week we've got Grace Webb. How you doing, Grace?
Hey, Bruce. Thanks so much for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. You are very, very popular with the dads in the crowd for some reason. It's all dads that have posted questions and dads that have said, you should have a look at CBeebies at this programme. She's right into her bikes. So thank you very
Well,
much to
that's
all the
great.
dads out there.
Yeah, thank you to all the dads. Yeah, I love to hear that because I'm guessing that they're watching CBeebies with their little ones. And yeah, so
Yeah.
most people will know me from presenting on a show called Amazing Machines on CBeebies. But I actually love that the show seems to be, from what I've heard from messages, that parents and kids will watch it together. And I
Yeah.
absolutely love that about the show, that, you know, they're spending time together watching TV and sharing a joint love for something, mainly
Yep.
motorbikes, but also machines as well. So, yeah, I love that the parents are into it just as much as the kids.
It was actually, I mean, my son's 23 now, so he isn't watching CBeebies anymore. But a good mate of mine, Mark Fulcher, he was the one that put me onto you, actually, because he's just now got a newborn, like 18-month-old boy, Archie, if you're watching Archie. And
Oh,
he
hey,
said,
Archie.
you know, you need to watch this program. She would be really good on the podcast because, you know, she's bringing like bikes and engineering to the whole new younger generation. So it's
Yeah,
Mark
yeah.
that we need to thank for getting you on.
Cheers, Mark. Cheers, Mark. Yeah, and it's opened me up to your world as well, because then, like, once you got in contact with me, I was like, oh, who's this guy? And you do your research, don't you? And like, what you've done with that jigsaw around the world and what you continue to do after that, I think is just amazing.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind. That's very kind.
Yes, and
I
now that's
always.
my new YouTube documentary series is
Oh,
your
is it?
stuff.
Yeah, it's weird when you. I mean, I don't obviously I haven't watched it since I did it. But people
Yeah.
who are new to the channel, it's the first port of call for most of them as they go through
Yes.
the world trip, and
Yes.
everyone says, "My God, you've changed." From obviously, I've got a beard now, but you know, I think
I was gonna, yeah, say that. You haven't got that massive beard in the videos.
that's right.
But
Just a boy back then.
that must feel like a lifetime away, does it? Or
Yeah. Oh yeah, massively.
yeah.
You know, so much has changed from, you know, that was what, 2012. Well, 2009 I started planning it. So yeah, so much has changed since then. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm in a good place, loving life, enjoying things. So can't complain.
Yeah, and the memories you would have taken from that is brilliant. Like the fact that you documented it all, I especially appreciate how hard that must have been because I've tried to dip into the YouTube stuff, and
Mhm.
when I've come from CBeebies where, you know, we've got a huge crew and
Yeah,
it's so polished, and then when I try and do something on YouTube by myself, I'm like, oh, well, I need to film that and I need to put that camera over there, and then
yeah,
I need to edit that bit out for sure.
yeah.
It is tough when you're doing it all by yourself. So yeah, credit to you. I think it all looks great.
Fact, I would love to go back and do the world trip again. You know,
Can I come with
just
you?
knowing what. Oh yeah, no problem.
I'll be a second camera guy.
You're on. You're on. Yeah, knowing what I know now, just in terms of like audio in particular, you know, just knowing what I know now and with the
Oh,
editing
definitely.
that I do now, oh, I'd love to do that trip. But I don't know. You never know. You can
Yeah,
never say never,
yeah,
can you? It might happen. Might happen. We'll see.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
definitely. Never know.
Shall we? What I normally do is when we first start, I sort of throw the floor open to you, to the guest, and basically say, "What's your name? Where'd you come from? What you do?" I know we've pretty much covered it there, but I'll fire it over to you, and then we'll go from there.
Right, it's like being on a game show, isn't it? So
Cuddly
my
toy.
name's my name's Grace, and I'm originally from Lincolnshire. That's where my parents are currently living now. I was born actually in Leicestershire, and then we moved to Lincolnshire when I was about 7. My dad's business as an engineer, his business was developing and he needed more space, so we ended up relocating to Lincolnshire. And I am a presenter slash journalist slash educator, I suppose I would say. Yeah, so my career started out teaching. So I was a class teacher for about 4 years, and then took a promotion to be an assistant head teacher. And then I suppose you could say it took a promotion after that to then present on CBeebies for children. And yeah, I'm obviously, so that wasn't what I set out to do, the presenting stuff. But what I did set out to do was have an impact on children. And the opportunity given to me to be on CBeebies, the fact that it reaches millions of kids is still blows me away. But I love that it's reached that many children and is inspiring them as well. I often get messages from parents saying, oh, my little boy or my little girl loves watching this and they want to give this a go, and you've inspired them to even sit on a motorbike or, you know, anything like that. Because I think sometimes bigger machines as well like that, children can be a bit nervous around them. So it's nice that when they've seen me do it, they think, oh, well, if Grace has done it, you know, it looks all right when she does it, so I'll give it a go, kind of thing. One message I got the other day was that a little girl went on a tractor, and that was like a massive thing for her because it was so grumbly and big, these huge wheels that, when you think the wheels are bigger than those kids, so you can sort of imagine how daunting that must be. So yeah, it's all about those little steps, isn't it? So that's kind of, well, I suppose a bit of a rushed progression of my career so far.
I know how these things go when the questions all start kicking in and we start going down the various rabbit warrens that they unveil. We'll delve deeper for sure.
Yes.
So obviously there's the sort of education part of things which ties into how you started your career by being a teacher, but you used to be a presenter, weren't you? On, was it was the Thundersport? Was that right? On, was it Dave or no? Before Dave, what was that? Motors.
Yeah,
Motors.
So that was on Motors TV. Yeah. So that was something I did when I was studying actually at uni, and that came about in an unusual way, I suppose. So my younger brother started racing motorbikes when he was about 10, so I would have been about 13 at the time. He did it for years, and I just always went along with the rest of the family. You know, I was on the pit wall, go little bro. In the back of my mind, I did always want to give it a go, really, but I suppose all the efforts were put into my little brother to do it, and I was just loving the paddock life anyway, just going along, and so that was me just hanging around the paddock. And you know, you'd go to these race weekends every other weekend, at least a couple of times a month, and you sort of then build a paddock family as such. You start speaking to all these different people from across the country, and so I got to know quite a few people. And at the time, Thundersport, the motorbike championship, wasn't televised at the time, and then a few years down the line, they decided they wanted to put it online and on Freeview on Motors TV. So they were like, right, well, we need a presenter. But they also wanted someone that sort of knew about the different people in the championship and sort of where they'd come from and how they got on last year and whatever else. So little old me was who spoke to everyone. They sort of said, well, Grace speaks to everyone, you know, she's been about for a while, she sort of knows a few people, and obviously we'd been with Thundersport since they started, so I sort of got familiar with the names and how they got on in previous years and such. And so they asked me to be the presenter. So I sort of would open the show, but then also would speak to people after the race to say, oh, how do you feel that went and stuff like that. And it was kind of like what I was doing anyway. I would speak to them anyway about how was your race, but this time I just bought a camera and a microphone along with me. So yeah, and that's how that kind of came about. And I did really enjoy it because I like to chat to people anyway. And it did sort of cross my mind at that point, oh, well, could this sort of be a career path? But because I suppose because I was studying at uni at the time, and I wanted to see my degree through, and I suppose I put years of effort into that I just then carried on and went down the teaching path, and the Thundersport presenting was just a thing that I said I did. Didn't really follow it through. But then later down the line, a clip of me presenting at Thundersport was what the CBeebies crew saw and said, oh, we've seen your clip doing this, you know, we're looking for a presenter for this show. Is that something you'd be interested in? And obviously when they came back with the nature of the show, like motorsport being an interest, a massive interest of mine, and my background in education, I was like, hell yeah, like I want to give this a go. Not even, it was one of the, I just went along. I tend to just go along with stuff and just see what happens. And I'm very much one for like saying yes to stuff. And, you know, went for the screen test, and they called me a few days later saying, yeah, we'd love for you to be the presenter. I was like, are you joking? And then here we are today, and it's just led on to more stuff. And yeah, like I suppose the world of motorsport is so vast and wide that it's, I've since done other stuff with it, and I still keep my feet in the teaching side of stuff. And yeah, it's really good. I mean, COVID and whatnot got in the way, as it did with a lot of people's lives. But I'm really happy with how things are going, and the fact that what I'm doing is so well received just fuels me more.
Talking of COVID, you adopted a slightly different role, didn't you, during COVID? Was that through CBeebies or the BBC themselves? But they call it an educator, is that right? Where you were basically sort of teaching on TV to like preschool ages.
Yeah. So when lockdown first happened, the BBC wanted to put together some sort of education platform that children could easily access at home. And that's where BBC Bite Size Daily came in, where they created almost like 20-minute bite-sized chunks of education. So maths, English, science, history, geography, a bit of everything rolled into 20 minutes, so that children who were working from home could access it easily. And yeah, I got asked to do that, and that was really great. Like, it was the BBC's biggest ever education project. So yeah, to be a part of that was just amazing, that you're again being tuned in to TVs across the country to help these kids that aren't being able to go to school because of the pandemic. It was just great. So yeah.
Awesome. So is Grace's Amazing Machines, is that coming back is that a fourth season? Third, isn't it?
A third of Grace's Amazing Machines. And I suppose, it is coming back. There's still lots more machines out there to be tested and documented. So we've got to keep going with it, haven't we? Awesome.
This is very rude of me. I just realised we've not. Do you have a tipple for this evening at all?
I do. Ding.
Oh, good effort. Is that a gin?
Right, it looks like a gin, and this is why I do it, because it makes me feel fancy, but it's actually just a sparkling water.
Nothing wrong with that. Slange.
Cheers.
Oh, that's better. Right, okay. Yeah. How about we delve into the questions, because there's quite a few to get through.
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right. I tend not to pre-read the questions, so most of the time they're as much a surprise to me as they are to you. We'll see how we get on. They can be quite obscure at times. Right. First off, we'll go to the clan over on Patreon. So it's patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, J. Alexander. I've got a question. My parents were really anti-motorcycles. How do kids' parents generally feel about two-wheel transport? Cheers, Jay. Yeah, do you get much feedback from parents with regards to the motorcycle influence? Your motorcycle influence?
Yeah, sometimes. I think the show has really helped because I think it sort of portrays motorbikes in a safe and controlled environment, and obviously I'm always wearing all the safety gear and things like that. And often, I'll get parents who are also bikers who. And that if they're bikers themselves, then they can't really say you can't have a bike. So it's usually like saying thank you. You know, I've been trying to get my child to sit on my bike for ages, kind of thing, and now they've seen you do it, which is great. But you know, I have heard a lot lately about just even people my age saying like, oh, it's so cool that you ride a bike, and you know, I'd love one, but yeah, my parents never let me when I was younger, kind of thing. And yeah, you do hear that a lot, and it is a shame because you do hear of accidents, but then you also hear of car accidents. So I think as long as you're being sensible and you've got the right gear,
absolutely,
I don't see why not.
It can only be a positive thing because, you know, we're all saying, aren't we, in the motorcycle sort of industry world, everyone is saying, how are we going to get the younger generation into biking? Because it is a genuine worry. You know, everyone's getting older, you know, like there's not many in the sort of the teens and 20 bracket who are coming through into biking. There are some, but there's nowhere near as many as there are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So, you know, to ask somebody like yourself.
It's so cheap, though, as well. I think that kind of gets lost because it's actually a really cheap form of transport. Like, compared to getting your license for a car and then buying a car, to get your license and get a scooter or something is considerably cheaper. So that's a massive plus. But yeah, and I think with the introduction of electric vehicles and electric scooters and bikes, again, massively cheap to run one of those. Start looking at the whole package, isn't it?
Definitely. I'm glad you brought up the electric because I'll bring that up later on, obviously with your new venture, because I'm a total convert to electric. I started riding electric about 3 or 4 years ago and love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
Great fun. But we'll cover that later on. Where are we going there? Oh, yeah, because it's interesting hearing you say that it's a cheap form of transport, because for a lot of people sort of older in their years, we look and think, well, biking's just getting more and more expensive. Like for me, I've not been riding that long. I've only been riding, 2008, 13 years, something like that I've been riding. But for me, at the start of that, like a 10 grand motorbike, bloody hell, that was a lot of money. You know, that was like creme de la creme sports bike was 10 grand.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at high 20s, 30s.
But for a brand new bike, maybe, but
exactly.
you can pick up decent second-hand ones.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Is it seems to be a lot of people I know in the industry, cost, as in it's too expensive, seems to be something like a hurdle that they're thinking, how can we deal with this to get the younger generation in? But listening to you talk, you know, you've got quite a refreshing attitude to it that, well, you don't need to buy a brand new one, do you? And I think that's maybe an issue that a lot of the industry thinks. How do we get people in, get them into buying new bikes? But like you said, well, you just go second-hand one. You don't need to go for the top of the range. You can, as you said, scooters, things like that, the lower CC bikes.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how they do it.
I don't think any of my bikes have been brand new, actually. I've always had a second-hand bike, but but then I've changed my bike a lot more than my car. So, but again, dealerships now are offering such great finance options on bikes as well, that's another way around the cost that, you could, like with 0% interest as well, that so you're not missing out on anything. And again, they probably offer something where you can swap it at the end of your contract and continue to get a new bike. And so I think there's loads of options out there for bikes, and the style that you want as well. Like and you can get panniers and there's storage, and I think they're only getting better now for more options for you to choose from.
Definitely. And when you get really old, you buy a GS. That's what happens. Right, next question. Matt Jordan. Has there ever been a vehicle or piece of machinery that you've had to introduce on the show where you've genuinely struggled to fake an interest, like a cement mixer or BMW GS, for example? Cheers, Matt. Thanks, pal.
No, not at all. Like, because they're all so interesting, and you have to appreciate that some machines are used for different things. So of course you're going to get the machines that are simply built for fun and are going to be a lot more exciting to control and to use than other machines that have more of a purpose. So you've got to appreciate that, although I'm not going to go woo when using this machine, you might go, oh wow, that it does this, and actually that's really efficient for doing that. And I'm learning so much on the job as well. There's some machines that I didn't even know existed, or parts of the machine that you think, actually that's a really clever design. Like, I never knew that it had that on that tractor, because you pass by tractors in the field all the time. You don't really think of the insides of them or how they're being efficient. And so I'm learning a lot of stuff like that. So no, genuinely, no, there's not been a machine where it's like fallen flat with me, because you appreciate it for different reasons. So yeah.
Have you always had that interest then in sort of mechanics engineering, or is that something that has come about because of the show?
Yeah, no, I have always. I mean, like I said, my dad's an engineer by trade, so there's always been an engine running or a spanner about, or something mechanical's going on in our household. And dad's always worked from home as well, so I've always been around it, and I've just taken an interest to know how these things work, because I like knowing, I use my car every day and I use my bike very often, that if I'm using this, I like, in my head, it helps me to know like how things are working and why it's doing that kind of thing. So yeah, maybe that's a thing that goes on in my brain, that I just like to know like the ins and outs of stuff and how it works kind of thing. So so I think I've always had an interest in it. I'm not saying I'm an expert with tools by any means, but I'll give it a go with something.
I think there must be something in the air from Lincolnshire, because Guy Martin's like that as well, isn't he? He's the same,
because he's
same
from
mentality.
Lincolnshire. Yeah. I get that.
Next one, I've just seen who it is, and we were chatting about you earlier. Mark Fulcher. It's my mate, Fulch. Hey up me ducks. Before I start, can you let Grace know?
Hey up me ducks.
There you go.
Yeah, I know that saying.
Before I start, can you let Grace know my little 18-month-old lad, Alfie, bloody loves amazing machines. Literally no one can disturb him when it's on. Could Grace give my boy Alfred a bit of a wave and say hello, as I know you would love it? Would you mind?
Oh, hey, Alfred. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this show. I'm so glad to hear that you enjoy it.
I don't know about Alfred, but I think his dad's going to be over the moon now. Couple of questions to you both. Grace, to you both. Grace obviously gets to pilot all sorts of incredible machinery. However, what's the one machine that you haven't tried that you really wish you could take for a spin? I have spoken about before again,
because I love motorbikes, and I was thinking about which bike would I like to ride, and I don't know about you, but I would love to try out a MotoGP bike because because it's like the height of everything. Like that will be so fine tuned that you couldn't buy it. Yeah, you couldn't buy it anywhere. And just to feel what that's like, that you watch every other weekend when the races are on, to feel what they're feeling, kind of thing, and to see how sensitive it is and what those brakes feel like and everything. Yeah, I'd love to give a MotoGP a bike a go. I don't think I'd give Marquez a run for his money, but I'll poodle around on it.
It's the thing, like, you see people take Formula One cars out, don't you? And they literally, like, they can't get the thing off the line. And
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that like, yeah, an F1 car is just so sensitive and it's wants to move, and but again, that's what I mean. I wonder if that's the same.
What the bike's like,
with a bike,
Interesting. I've I was going to chat with you about this later on, but I've hopefully going to be doing this new motorbike TV show on Amazon Prime, and one of the shows on that, I'm going to be like a pit crew with a Moto 2 team. Don't know which one yet. Don't know what track we're going to, but I'm going to be in the pit crew for some Moto 2 championship. And
cool.
Yeah, part of that in my head thinks, I wonder if you'd just let me have a little shot at that. Don't think it'll happen. Don't think it'll
After
happen.
The checkered flag. Gives a little cheeky go.
Any chance of a lap?
Yeah. Well, you don't ask, you don't get. Never know.
You've got to be in it to win it, don't you? Next one from Fulch. Secondly, for Grace, Cadwell or Donny? I know you've got family ties with Donington, but surely Cadwell's that little bit more fun. Also, which section or corner of the chosen track? Now, you've got family ties with Donington, don't you? Was it your granddad? Is that right?
Yeah. So granddad is Tom Wheatcroft, who was the founder of Donington Park. So my mum is his daughter. And again, that's another reason, I suppose, as to why I am how I am. And my love of all things motorsport, because again, we'd go to Donington quite often as kids, and watch the racing. And the first place I watched live racing was at Donington, from the Wheatcroft suite, and it was just amazing.
Nice.
And you don't realise now, because when you're a kid, you just sort of accept that that's how it is. And when I look back, I'm like, oh, wow, like Grandad achieved a lot. And I'm ever so proud of him for that, because learning about his life and the history of Donington and how he built it up to be how we know it today is incredible. So I think that's a mean question. I'm always going to have a soft spot for Donington. But I do love Cadwell. And again, being from Lincolnshire is a local track. The mountain is... I've not quite made friends with it yet, as I'm sure some other people haven't. So I would say my favourite part, I definitely know my favourite part of Cadwell, is Mansfield. Left-hand corner, sweeps round. You're hard on the brakes, let go, sweeping around the corner. It's brilliant. I love that. That's my favourite corner for sure.
Mega. Are you at the jumping the mountain stage yet?
I think the first time I rode at Cadwell, because you hear people talk about the mountain and this is how you should do it. No, you should do it like this. So I was like, right, I'm just going to give it a handful, see what happens. And of course, the front wheel, of course, came up, panic, boom, bashed back down. And I thought, maybe that's not the right way to do it. And that was in the pouring rain as well, I remember.
Oh, God.
It was literally like, it wasn't raining, it was raining, hammering it down. And yeah, it was just one of those, well, I'm going to have to figure it out for myself, see what happens. And then I suppose since then I've been a bit more cautious of it. So yeah, but in theory, two wheels on the ground, you're going to go faster, but you also need to be carrying that speed over the top as well, don't you? And
Yeah.
getting the front wheel up, it does look cool for a picture, doesn't it?
It's when you see people like Josh Brooks, and he almost motocross jumps it, kicks the back out a little bit.
Flies over the top. Yeah.
Incredible.
No, I'm nowhere near that.
I've never even done a lap of Cadwell. I've not done a single lap of it. No, ever.
Oh, you've got to. I'd really recommend it. It is one of those tracks that has got a bit of everything. And I suppose is why it's so challenging.
Yeah. Cool. Right, next one. Oh, still Fulch. And a cheeky third, if I may, to you both. Fruitcake with or without cheese? Now, this is a northern thing. My wife's from sort of up your neck of the woods, North Nottingham, Retford, my wife's from. And she has cheese with fruitcake.
For me, I would say no.
Oh, see? Human, normal.
Yeah. But then like, if I was to have a slice of birthday cake, I'd eat the sponge and leave the icing. I like just a sponge is fine. Same with fruitcake.
How can you leave the icing? Fine. How can you leave the icing, Grace? What's going on there?
I don't know. I don't know where that comes from.
What I will say, when I was told cheese with fruitcake, I was like, what? Garlic bread? What? But when you try it,
so. What do you mean by cheese? Hold on. Do you mean like cheese frosting, or do you mean like cheddar cheese?
Like cheddar. A slice of cheddar on fruitcake.
Oh.
Yeah.
I would also say no.
The sound of it, no.
I've not heard of that.
When you taste it, have you not?
So are you saying try it? Are you recommending this?
I'm saying try it. It sounds horrible, but it tastes lovely. But I would still say that's wrong. But it's one of those things that's so wrong it's right. It is nice.
I get you. Oh, okay. I'll get back to you on that one.
Right, okay. Last part from Fulch. Keep up the good work, both of you. Again, thank you to Grace for encouraging the younger generation into the wonderful world of machinery. Shiny side up. And we can all have a cuddle next week.
Yeah. Thank you.
Next one, Biker España. Hi to you both. What has been I think we've covered this. What has been your favourite machine so far? Secondly, internal combustion or electric?
Okay. I say this all the time because I get asked this question a lot. What is your favourite machine? I still don't know what the answer is because there's so many cool ones. But I mean, for me, the Superbike that we filmed for my first series was definitely a highlight. So that was the BMW S1000R.
Yeah.
And I had Anglesey track to myself. It was just like this surreal moment. So I suppose along with the machine came the day as well, which I suppose it makes it a highlighted memory in my head. So yeah, that was a great machine and a great day.
It's a fantastic bike, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Silky smooth, that bike.
Beautiful.
Just everything clicked into place nicely, and yeah. Again, didn't really have a bad thing to say about it.
Next part you said was internal combustion or electric.
Yeah. You've got to love both for different reasons. But I suppose the world is moving to electric, and I'm really enjoying actually finding out more about electric, because the more I learn about it, the more I'm keen to move that way myself. So yeah, I do like, and I have ridden an electric bike, and again the torque you get from electric,
phenomenal,
and I suppose with the cars as well, like soon as you put the accelerator down, you pinged back and you haven't got time to think about it.
That's right.
Whereas I suppose there's more steps with the others. you know, you got to click everything into gear, and that you've got that split second, I suppose, to think about what you're doing.
Yeah. So I thought, like, when I've done electric bike reviews, you always get the lovers, you get the haters, you get the ones that are like, I've not ridden one, but I'm not going to like it because, you know, I like the sound, I like the gears, I like the feel of a petrol engine. And I'm like, I totally get that. I was exactly the same. But as you said, when you jump on the electric, although you've not got the sound of the engine, you've got the sound of everything round about you. You hear the wind more, you hear the road noise more, you hear the bike moving more, don't you?
Yeah. And there's something whizzy about an electric bike. Like you feel quite rapid and agile, I suppose. Which I quite like.
I always feel like I'm one of those scout bikes, you know, in Return of the Jedi when they're going through the forest. That's, to me, that's what it sounds like. Noise.
Yeah. Have you ever watched electric racing?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I went to. Oh, look at me! I went to one of the Moto E rounds in Italy.
Yeah,
and phenomenal, nuts.
Did you find that I suppose an odd experience after years of hearing engines
without the sound?
Again, that was like a. It's just like wafts of air going by. You kind of think, oh, is everything stopped? Oh no, it's the electrics.
When you compare it to, like, you know, you go to a moto, well, that is a MotoGP weekend, but like you have Moto 3 go out and they're so bloody loud. And then you have Moto E where you literally can't hear anything.
Yeah. So I watched my first MotoGP race at Donington, and again, I didn't realise from watching on TV how loud they are in real life, especially when there's a group of them together. It's insanely loud. And it is going to take time because it's been years like that. But there are so many pros of going electric. So, I am swaying towards the electric side now. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sell my internal combustion bike at the moment. I've concluded that I need a collection because I'm struggling to part with any bikes
what to
get into buy the next one.
What you got?
So
at the moment?
I currently ride an Aprilia, an RRV 450.
Okay.
Which is a purpose-built race bike, but me and my dad have sort of tailored parts so that we can take it on the road as well. And that's what I love about it, that it's unique. And I think it's one of the only RRV 450s that is able to go on the track and on the road, which is why I love it so much, because it's unique. So, yeah, I can't sell that. I'm going to have to just find more money to buy an electric bike.
So, you've just got the Aprilia?
Yeah, I just got the Aprilia. But then, luckily, being from a large family, we have a garage that I will then pinch other people's bikes. So I have been riding recently. A friend of ours keeps his bike at our garage, a Gix 1000. And I've always loved the Gixxers, the 600 or the 1000. I find them so comfortable and still reasonably slim. I like a slim feeling bike. I love the Gixxers.
I'm the same. Yeah, before I even rode, it was my poster bike. You know, it's the one that you have up on the wall, and it's like the blue and white Gixxers. I was like, one day I'll have one of them.
Well, one of my first bike when I got my full license was a 750, a Suzuki 750, and I love that. I mean, I had to have it restricted, but just the feel of having a big bike finally was great. And as much as I love my 450, because it's a race bike, you can't really go too far on it because it's very rigid, stiff suspension, and your bum goes a bit numb after a while. So then when I sit on the Gix 1000, it's like, oh, this is so.
I feel like a couch.
Yeah.
Next one, Jordan, I think it's Bathy or Bathy. I love watching Grace's Amazing Machines with my little lad. Truly the best programme on CBeebies. It has, however, caused a little bit of jealousy with my girlfriend. When she hears the theme tune, I often hear, "Oh, it's your girlfriend Grace again, is it? Do you wish I was like Grace?" I always tell her, "No, of course." Question 1. Tell us about the most cringeworthy fan moment. Dad's running up to you.
um, uh, do you know what? I don't think I've had any cringeworthy fan moment.
Oh, you've done it now. You've done it now. Everyone's going to watch this and go, right, I'm going to come up and say hello.
Well, I mean, I suppose because a lot of it has been because the show didn't come out that long before we went into lockdown. So
I suppose, yeah.
But I did have one guy did come up to me with his son on FaceTime. So he was already prepared.
Yeah.
went in for the look who I'm with, and I was a bit like, what the hell's going on here? And he was sort of like talking to his son and not really talking to me. It's like, look who I'm with here. I was like, oh hi. Yeah, but I suppose I've been quite lucky like that. Everyone's been so nice that it's all good.
Awesome. My old job, I don't know if you know, I used to be a police officer, used to be in the Met in London, and I used to work at Downing Street, and I'd be at the front of Downing Street, either out the front of the gates or behind the gates, and you would just get these guys walking by like that, and it was always the dads like pushing a pram or something, and you could see like their other halves behind them, just like, oh for God's sake. And one time I had this woman, she just they'd walked by a couple of times, and then you could see her just go, oh, and she turned around and she was like shouting through the gates, "Are you Teapot? Are you Teapot?" like that. I was like, yeah. And she said, right, come here. She grabbed hold of her husband, brought him back. She was like, look, it's Teapot. Say hello, So I was like, hello, hi, how are you?
I bet everyone wanted to have a selfie, didn't they?
I think it wasn't the whole TeapotOne thing. I think it was my beard. People seem to be fascinated with my beard at Downing Street.
Yeah. So, well, that was something I was going to ask you. Where does the TeapotOne thing come from?
It is the call sign for I think the Met still has it, but we used to have a catering truck, a tea wagon called TeapotOne. Yeah. So it was just if there was a large scale deployment of Old Bill, like a demo or anywhere where there's going to be a lot of Old Bill for a protracted length of time, then there would be a call over the radio saying TeapotOne's been authorised or TeapotOne's been deployed, and you knew, okay, we're going to be here for a while now, but I'm going to get a brew, I'm going to get 10 minutes off the front line to go and have a cup of splosh, a biscuit, cigarette if you smoked, and that was that. So when I was trying to think of a name for my trip, because I was taking in like a 2-year career break, one of my mates in the job just said, well, why don't you call it TeapotOne? Because you're taking a break from the job. Just call it TeapotOne, and 30,000 Old Bill in the Met will straight away go, what's TeapotOne? What's happening? So that was it, and it just sort of stuck. Really?
That makes sense, yeah, because that was something I didn't know, and I was like, I wonder why. There must be a reason why his channel's called this and why it's all over his bike, and yeah. But that makes sense. That's cool.
I used to sort of address that a lot in the early videos because I always got asked it, but I suppose I just don't anymore because it's people just accept it and that's that. But
yeah.
I need to do somebody said I need to do some sort of intro vid for the YouTube channel just to say, let people know it's because some people think it's TeapotOne. They don't, the Americans seem to think it's TeapotOne. They don't put two and two together. I think TeapotOne. So I'll need to do a bit on that and how it all came about. But anyway,
some cool intro video of you coming in on a bike and
Jordan had a second question. Do you think there's an appetite from TV companies for any more motorbike related programs? There appears to be a lack of material except Henry Cole.
Yeah, I know what he means, because I suppose you've got Top Gear obviously being the massive car show, it'd be good for a motorbike show to be like that. I don't think it's going to come out the blue though. I think probably the way around it would be to bring bikes into a car show.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? Like sort of bring them in together and but I don't know. I'd be well up for doing something like that. I think there is space. The biking community is huge, so it's just making people aware of it, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. Well, I mean, we've got the new show that's due out August or September time, and that's their aim is for it to basically be a bike Top Gear, but who knows? Who knows how it's? We'll see what happens. We haven't started filming yet, and it's due out in August, I think September time. So we haven't started filming.
Yeah, I'll look out for that. Yeah, so excited. Yeah.
Next one, Robert Forster. Greetings and salutations. My 8-year-old asks if you can do a show about snow vehicles. I'm going to ask what kind of weather you prefer, as although I don't like setting off in inclement weather, I like the challenge of riding or driving in crap conditions. You did do a show, didn't you? I think I've seen a show when I was at my mate Fulch's. You not do one on like a snow plough or something like that?
So that was my mate Katie. So before I came to the scene, Katie presented an Amazing Machine series before me, and she did a show about snow machines, which a little bit envious of that one because I absolutely love the snow. I'm a keen snowboarder, so that one I was like, it looks so good and there's so much snow and the conditions are great, but she did a great job of that. So Katie presented the first series, and I took over after she left on the second series. Gotcha. So she's off rallying now and doing amazing things, so it's great to see what she's doing, and that opportunity came up for her, and it made an opportunity for me. So I love keeping posted with what she's doing nowadays.
Brilliant. So in terms of favourite sort of driving weather, are you a wet weather person, or do you prefer it dry for riding? Riding. Let's focus on riding.
Yeah, I prefer dry. Doesn't everyone?
Yeah, I think so.
Especially on the road. If I look out the window and it's raining, I'm like, I'm taking the car. But when it comes to the track, I don't know. Whenever I go on a track day, it inevitably seems to be raining. So I kind of just accept that that's what's going to happen. So it doesn't really bother me on track, as long as it's one or the other. What I can't stand is when the weather conditions are drying and you've got some parts dry and some parts wet, and you're like, well, what tyres should I use? Oh, I don't know. Well, it's raining over there, but it's sunny over there. So, yeah.
Have you done Brands in the wet? It's like a bloody ice rink.
What's that? Well, I imagine Paddock Hill is, yeah.
Honestly, Paddock Hill's great fun. If you like the mountain, you would love Paddock Hill. It's brilliant. I mean, I love Paddock Hill, and I'm shit scared of the mountain. But Paddock Hill is loads of fun. Really is fun.
Yeah.
But when it gets wet, the whole circuit is like an ice rink. It's like someone's gone out and put soap all over the circuit. It's horrible. That's my low. It's just down the road to me, so it's I've been there for a bit.
So it's good tyres you need.
Yeah. Off-road tyres for when it's wet, I think, over there. I've just seen who the next one is. We have, a lot of people are regular sort of question posers, and one of the most famous, I've actually had him on the podcast, is a guy called Pete English. So buckle up and get ready for this question. They're normally quite obscure. Hi guys, hope you're both fitting well. Question to you both. You've just found out you have a long-lost, you have a long-lost twin sister or brother. What would be the first 3 things you would tell them that have been your greatest achievements, and what questions would you ask them first? Wow. Wow.
Is that a question for you? You go first.
Okay, right. Me first. First things you would tell
What?
them.
Okay, yeah.
Sheesh. Wow. What would be the first three
Well, you'd
things you would tell
obviously
them?
tell them about round the world, wouldn't you?
They'd be asleep in about 4 minutes.
That's
Um,
okay. How long have these imaginary people got?
yeah, I
Have they
know.
got a
Yeah,
while?
they just turn around and walk away. Like, I'm not getting
Yeah.
associated with this boring fart. First three things you would tell them have been your greatest achievements. Ooh, well, it would have to be their nephew, my son. So tell them about me
Yeah,
boy,
yeah.
introduce them. What other two things? What other two things am I chuffed about?
This is a massive question, isn't it? You kind of got
It
to
is, isn't
go
it?
through the
Yeah.
memory of your life.
Yeah, I know. Normally, ladies first, but yeah, I'll have to think about this. Right.
Yeah.
So, my boy,
I mean,
um,
mm,
I'd have to mention the world trip, wouldn't I? I'd have to. I'd just have to because
yeah,
I am
yeah,
chuffed about that.
yeah.
Okay, and one other. Blimey.
You'd have to tell them about your family, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That would be one of mine. Like, because I'm I'm massively proud of my family and where I come from. So I'm like, well, come on, you got to come meet them. That would be one thing I would say to them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, long lost twin sister or brother. So what? They're from your mum and dad, or one or the other, or come on, Pete. I need details
Yeah,
here.
yeah. You
Now
would
I'm
assume
starting to.
so, wouldn't you? Yeah,
Yeah, the copper in my
yeah,
head is like, where, and how did this happen? Why did it happen?
yeah,
God, I've got one more. Right,
yeah.
I'll try and think of one more. I'll pass over to you.
Mm. Well, I would, yeah. So family would be one that I'd sort of have to tell them about them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Career is a big one for me. Like I'm proud of my
Yeah,
career so far. Um, and then a third thing to tell them.
it's tough, isn't it? It's tough.
Yeah, I I'd want to know about them. Where have you
Yeah,
been?
exactly. Okay, then. So let's go to that then. What questions would you ask them first? Where have you been?
Yeah, where have you been?
Yeah,
Are you like me? If they're a twin,
yeah,
you'd want to know if they're similar to you. Because I
absolutely.
heard recently some who was it? Oh no, I was listening to a podcast with Mo Farah, and I didn't
Hmm.
realize he's an identical twin.
Oh, is he? I never knew
And
that.
yeah, yeah, I didn't know that either. And he was saying about how he gets a feeling if his identical brother is feeling down or sad
Uh-huh.
or that kind of thing. And even though they live really far apart, Mo was saying he just gets that feeling of that he knows something's not quite right. Um, I I think that'd be awesome, like almost like a magical power. Like I'd want to know if that sort of connection is there, sort of thing.
Yeah, you do hear about that, don't you? With identical twins, they can almost
Mm,
read each other's minds and preempt
yeah,
what they're gonna
yeah,
say, what they're gonna do.
yeah. And I'd
Yeah.
also want to ask if they'd be up for doing some sort of like trickery. I've always thought that'd be cool to like go somewhere, pretend that they would be Grace, and that's if it's an identical sister.
Good point. Very good point. Yeah.
That would be something. We need to know more details.
Yeah, Pete, we need more details. More for next time. More details.
I
Right,
think
we
we've
have another.
attacked that one quite good for on the
I
spot.
think so. Yeah, I properly had me on the back foot. Wow, that stumped me massively.
That was a big one. That was a
Um,
big one.
Next one, Peter Hamizadeh. Hi, like many others, my kids and I love Grace's amazing machines. There you go, dads. Keep telling you it's dads. Any
Oh,
plans for a new series? And can you get some more bikes in it for my kids? Obviously.
yes, obviously. Well, that is something that again that when Katie first started it, she's a rally driver, so it was
Mhm.
sort of pitched in that way. And then when I came along as a rider, you know, the title sequence and and everything revolved around that. And since I've started doing it, they've always included an amazing motorbike episode, which I love that, and that's sort of like personalized for me then. So for sure, there's still loads of other motorbikes out there that I'm sure will still get an amazing motorbike episode in there.
There you go, Pete. That'll keep you happy.
Like I said before, there's still loads more machines out there, so watch this space.
Awesome. Right, Pete's got a couple of questions. Question one to both. As influencers of all ages, what do you think can be done to get younger people interested in biking, and what changes do you think should be made, if any, to the licensing system? Well, we sort of touched on that, haven't we, already?
High five for being influencers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I always find that term a bit like, ooh, influencer.
I need to get a TikTok account.
Oh, I've not gone down that bit yet.
Oh God, I'm so glad.
Instagram's enough.
Yeah, I can't cope with it. Like I used to have Twitter as well and LinkedIn. Like growing up, isn't it? LinkedIn, you got to do it. But I haven't got the time. I don't do Twitter anymore because it's just full of argumentative 12-year-olds that live with their mum and want to fight everybody. And I just don't have time. I don't know how people do it all the time.
That's why I've sort of stuck to just Instagram. I'd rather do one as such, rather than have loads and not have time to do all of them, kind of thing. So yeah,
absolutely.
Find me on Instagram. But in terms of what can be done to get the youngsters into it, we've kind of touched on that, haven't we? And
well, the licensing system's an interesting one, isn't it? Because not when I did it, because it was still around when I did it. But obviously I could do direct access straight in. And now you have to do mod 1, mod 2, don't you? All the various different things.
Yeah. And even like the introduction, I don't know, do you have to do that on a bike where you have to follow a sat-nav? I know they've introduced that on a car license.
Have they?
Part of your test is to be able to follow a sat-nav. I didn't have to do that when I took my test. I don't know if you have to do that on a bike. But yeah, I think it's just being aware of it and finding platforms to help with that. Again, like why I'm really proud coming from CBeebies, that I do feel it's helping youngsters want to get involved with not just motorbikes but any sort of motorsport and machinery, but also I know Bennett's are doing a lot of great stuff about making this kind of information easy to digest, and especially if you're new to this, not just kids but even adults that want to get involved, it's kind of like, well, where do I start? So it's
what do I do?
Finding good platforms that will help you with all that information. So I know like people like Bennett's and Auto Express are good people to follow and to find out information about that kind of stuff. But also think manufacturers have a responsibility as well to get people involved. And like I say, I suppose it's that offering finance options that are suited to young people as well. You know, not everyone can just turn up with several grand to put down straight away. It's how are you going to appeal to the younger generation? I think they would be my tips. Yeah,
definitely. It's interesting on the topic of the licensing system, because I had you heard of the Chasing the Racing podcast? Chrissy Rouse and Dom Herbertson. I had them on the podcast. And
I used to interview Chrissy Rouse when he raced for Thundersport. Yeah.
Lovely lad.
It's like now seeing him all grown up, bless him. But no, his podcast is great. Yeah, it's doing really well.
They're doing great guns. It's really funny couple of lads them. But we had this similar sort of question, and originally I had the sort of mindset of, well, you know, maybe it is good that you can't get a bike license till, you know, a big bike license till you're, I think it's over 21, isn't it, for a 1,000cc or more now before you can do your or is it 20? Might even be older before you can do the direct access. Because I was just thinking, well, the big bikes are really powerful and it's really easy to get yourself in a lot of problems. But Dom was like, he said, well, yeah, but any 17-year-old, if they've got the money, can pass the test and go straight to the showroom and buy themselves a top of the range Audi if they've got the money and insure it and take that out. So what's the difference between that and a bike? And I thought to myself, you're right there, actually. If you can get a really high powered car, if you've got the money and you can get a high powered car, then why can't you do the same on a motorbike? That just doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's odd as well that they've done it on age, not on experience. Yeah. So even if you've never ridden a bike before, but you're over 21, 25 or something, and you can go straight to a bigger bike, and it's like, well,
exactly, yeah.
Then that doesn't make sense then if you're looking at non-experienced people, their age then doesn't really matter, does it?
Yeah, that's what I don't get. The logic's not there as far as that goes. I think a tiered system for cars and bikes, if you're going to go down that route, is if you're going to go down the route for one, you should go down the route for both. And I think maybe at 17 years of age, you should limit people to, I don't know, 1,000cc for a car and maybe, I don't know, 600cc for a bike or something. Not allow that big jump to the big bike till maybe you're, as you said, you've maybe got a year's worth of experience or 2 years worth of experience of driving or riding. I don't know. But
I didn't. That's actually a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that, about like comparing it to cars then as well, because you can then just buy any car, can't you? Once you've passed
doesn't make sense,
your
does
test.
it?
So yeah.
I think it's more, as you said, it's more the appealing to the youngest generation to get that interest from an early age, and also to placate the mums and dads. You've got to placate the parents. The reason I didn't ride a motorbike was because my mum was really anti-bike, and it was my mum that made me promise to do my trip. The whole story of that was that it was my mum sort of turned round to me before she passed away and basically said, you've always wanted to do it. Don't get to my stage where you face the end and you regret what you're not done. Go for it.
Yeah.
So, I think you have to get the mums and dads, the parents on board, don't you, to nurture that love of biking through the kids.
Definitely.
Pete's got a second question. Grace, how old were you when you started riding bikes, and was it by personal choice or because of family influences?
Yeah, I suppose a bit of both, really. Yeah, so I was gutted because I'm an August baby, so I couldn't take my CBT till then, but everyone else in my year at school could do their CBT and turn up to school on a scooter or a moped, and I was like, I'd love to do that. So cool. But I never got the chance because obviously I left school before that age. So, but yeah, I took mine as soon as I could. So yeah, when I was 17, and yeah, I've been riding ever since, and I've never regretted it. So, and I think, I suppose my parents were cautious. I suppose they never stopped me from doing anything, and again I think it's that both my mum and dad are bikers, so it's one of those well, you can't have a bike and then tell me not to get one.
Exactly.
But then before I took my test, I was riding in the garden and up the fields off road way before then anyway, and mum and dad had always kit us out with helmets and safety gear and stuff, so I suppose they trusted me as such. They knew
it was going to happen, wasn't it? It was going to happen.
And I think that's what you've got to do. If you know it's going to happen, then facilitate it in a safe way then, rather than say, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do this, because I think from working with kids, if you do that, it's going to want to make them do it more. So you've almost got to work with them and to make it as safe as possible. And I think that's where my relationship with my family, there was trust there that they knew I was going to be sensible, and they'd sort of brought me up around this, and they could see that I knew what I was doing, kind of thing, to then be able to take it out on the road safely. And it's just being cautious on the road, isn't it? Because it's not necessarily always you're riding or driving. No, yeah. You've got to have your wits about you on the road. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, racing is something that I would have liked to have had a go at.
Do you think you might still?
I'd love to. But I'm sure, as you know, racing is a very expensive thing to do. So, yeah, maybe one day, I don't know.
Have you done your ACU license?
I have done in the past, but again, that's something you've got to keep up, isn't it? And unfortunately, I've let mine lapse. So yeah, maybe one day.
Watch this space. By the sounds of it, watch this space. Right, next one, Chris Kemp. Hey Grace, my son absolutely loves your show and the Mini Mechanics series on YouTube. Will you be doing any more of these?
Oh, brilliant. Thank you for watching that. That's what I was telling you about when you're a one-man band trying to film it all and edit it all. So, that's brilliant to hear that they've watched that. Thank you. I hope so. So, yeah, if anyone's got any ideas of what they'd like to see, again, that Mini Mechanics series that I made during lockdown was a bit of a whim thing. What can I do from home that's exciting and that kids will want to watch and still along that STEM path? And luckily for me, like I say, Dad's an engineer from home, so I could bombard his garage and everything to do some filming in. So yeah, hopefully, if I get my brain together with some creative ideas, that's great to hear that they've watched it and they want to see more. So yeah, I'll definitely think on that.
Awesome. What I'll do then, folks, if you listen to the podcast, check out the show notes. If you're watching the YouTube vid, have a look at the description, and I'll put links to the Mini Mechanics YouTube series. Well, I'll put links to all your socials, everything down below. So make sure you give Grace a subscribe, a follow, a like, all the other things. Awesome. Chris has a second part of his question. Was the wing walking green screened? If so, I don't blame you and I won't tell my boy. If not, well done. Good luck in the female racing series if it's still going ahead.
Thank you. No, it was not green screened.
Mega. What's it like?
Nothing that you see is green screened. And the wing walking, a few people have said that to me about, were you nervous? And, I would do that. But actually, I wasn't that nervous about that one because you're not really doing anything other than, you strapped in, you can't really go anywhere. Yeah. But the fact that people, like, leading up to, the days before we filmed that, people would say, "Oh, you're nervous? How are you feeling?" I'm like, "You're making me nervous by saying that. Like, it's fine." Like, and they, even before that, you'd have to watch a safety video and they'd show you like how to strap in properly and everything. And they said, we have 100% success rate. We've never had any injuries or
no pressure
or anything like that. And I was like, brilliant. If you'd have said 99.9, I would have been a bit more. But it was like I felt totally safe. The guys there were brilliant, and the crew are just fantastic. Like they never rush me, and are you ready? Do you feel comfortable to do this? And most of the time, I'm like, yeah, let's get on with it. Come on, let's go. The wing walking was just amazing. Like,
wow.
And I would recommend it because for me, I've always wanted to be able to fly, fly like a bird. And that's the closest feeling to flying I think you can get, because you've literally got the wind on you and you can't really see much of the plane when you're up there because you're everything's directly below you, so you've just got this view of where you are.
Wow.
And it's just incredible, and it does literally take your breath away. The wind is that strong that sometimes you're like you can't catch your breath. And it was brilliant. So
that sounds mint.
You
I
can
would love
tell
to
your
do
son
something like that.
that was legit.
I'd love to do it, but I think I'd need a jumbo jet to get my fat ass off the ground, I think. So. Last one from Patreon, Mark Keenan. Hey up, how's it going? In one sentence, how would you sum up the internet? Wow.
One sentence?
Yeah. Pete English, that's how I sum up the internet. It's as obscure as his questions.
Well, I suppose the internet is an interesting place. I always find that word interesting gets you out of a lot of situations.
That sums it up in one word.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
Internet is an interesting place. Yeah.
Do you get much of an issue with trolls and any sort of negativity, or is everything fairly positive for you?
I've been very fortunate, that most of the contact I have with people is positive, and I try my best to reply to as many people as I can on my Instagram. Especially to the positive comments. I think people have taken the time and the effort to write this wonderful message that's made me feel wonderful just by reading it. That I will try my best to reply. Nice. There has been the odd not nice comment. I wouldn't say it's trolling. I think trolling is like where it's constant. I've been fortunate not to have that. There's been the odd comment, but I think you're not always going to be for everyone all the time, are you? So this is
true. Yeah, true.
It baffles me sometimes why people go out their way to say stuff, but I'm taking it on the chin. I've got a really good support network around me, and they keep me on the straight and narrow, so that's really helped. My family and friends are great at, if I say, oh, have you seen what this person said, they'll help me focus back on track, kind of thing, and not dwell on it too much. So
you do need that though, don't you?
Yeah. What have you found with that?
I generally was okay. Generally 99.99999% of the stuff was really positive. It's really good. But you would I'd get the odd occasional just shitty comment, I had one person that said, I'm glad your mum's dead so she's not seen what you've become, and like a comment like that. Oh my
gosh. Yeah.
It's not personal because they don't know you, but it's incredibly personal. You know what I mean? It's like that is straight into the heart. And I was like, I've got some skills from my past. I'm going to find you and we're going to discuss this. But you can't be like that, can you? But I found in lockdown. Yeah, but that's just the internet, isn't it? He's probably 11 years old, sitting in a basement with his, living at home, hasn't got any mates. That's probably just what that person is. You tend to find these people get some sort of kick out of it because they lack something in their own lives. So, but I have found in lockdown, certainly this last lockdown, I don't know if there was more of it or if I was just more sensitive to it because I was stuck indoors. I don't know, but this last lockdown, to me, it felt like there was a lot more of it for me. Yeah. But it's not horrendous, but it's just more negativity than I would usually get.
Yeah. I watched a Instagram TV thing with Scarlett Moffat the other day, and she was saying about how she gets comments sometimes, and she said she would like dwell on it and it would eat her up in the past, but now she's sort of come to realize that like she'll then message that person and say, are you okay? Because if you're making comments like that, you you can't be your happy, healthy self if you're saying stuff like that to people. So she was saying about how she would almost reach out to them and ask if they're okay, and like give them a helpline number to help them feel good about themselves, because you can't be happy if you're making comments like that to other people.
Exactly.
And she said usually a lot of the time they would come back and say, actually, yeah, sorry about that, I'm not in a good place, thank you for sharing this number, kind of thing. And I was like, well, actually, I find this really interesting, just seeing how different people view it. And I'm quite conscious that I'm still, I suppose, quite early in my career, and it's all going all right at the moment, but it might not do one day, kind of thing. And so that's interesting to hear you say your side of it as well. So
I think it's always part and parcel, I think, of you can sound really, I don't mean to sound pretentious, but having like an online presence, you're going to attract the really good and you're going to attract some bad. It's a yin and yang, isn't it? But thankfully, the vast majority of stuff is positive, but you do get the odd little bit of negative. And it's quite interesting. I've just moved across to the Instagram questions here. So thank you very much to everybody over on the clan and Patreon that did your questions. Thank you for that. We're now on Instagram at TeapotOne Insta, and I'll put Grace's links down below as well. The first comment is from my mate, Rav Wilding. Do you know Rav at all?
I don't know. I know who he is. I've never met him though. But I did see that comment pop up because that was quite an early one on the post he said, "Oh, we watch it all the time," and I was like,
He's a lovely fella, Rav. I used to work with Rav at this. We used to both work at Peck and Nick in the old Bill. Yeah. So that's where I know
really?
Rav. I was on his team, and then he became a detective, and then went off to Crime Watch, and the rest is history. But he put a post up very recently on Instagram about trolling. Basically, he gets a lot of hate. Like he gets a lot of racial stuff. He gets just a lot of just plain hatred sent his way, which I just don't get, because he's like the nicest bloke you're ever going to meet. Really genuine bloke.
Yeah,
and people have these preformed opinions of him because what they see in the paper or what they've read, and grips my poop.
It does, yeah. I don't know why people feel they have to do it. It's really sad, and really sad when you think what it can lead to sometimes.
Absolutely,
yeah. Like I said, I think sometimes these people need a bit of help themselves.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you are right, because when you do, occasionally I have replied to some of mine's nowhere in the same league as what Rav's facing and other people have faced. But when I have replied to some people, you, as you said, the amount of times some people would reply back with, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I'd had a few beers that night, I wasn't thinking straight," or, as you said, "I'm just not in a good place." But anyway, let's lift the mood a bit. Let's lift the mood. Who have we got here? Next Level Wheelie School. Can't wait, they said. You just did that, didn't you?
That's what I was going to say to you, because I know you went to them probably the weekend before me, actually.
I think it was. Yeah.
Aren't they just incredible?
Great couple of lads, yeah.
They really are. They really are, yeah. Paul and Ryan, such good instructors. Like, they just go through everything step by step, don't they? And when I turned up, and I was like, "Oh, what if I'm the only one that can't do it?" And they're going to try and make me do it straight away. But they do that whole build-up thing, and ease you into it. And, there's no pressure, and they give you that tailored advice as well. So that by the end of the day, I was loving it.
Were you wheeling down the whole runway?
Right, so by the end of the day, I felt like I could pop a wheelie. So my next step would be to hold it for longer.
Gotcha.
So I'm itching to get back and see those guys.
I found it so frustrating, because just when I thought, right, I think I've got it now, it's more gas. What got me was how little clutch he used. It's just literally just a dab of the clutch. But then when I'd think, okay, I've got this. So I'd manage 2 on the bounce, and I'd be like, right, when I get 5 on the bounce, I've smashed it. Well, I'd get to number 3 and the front wouldn't even come up. And I'd be like, what have I done different? What's wrong?
Yeah. But that's
I'm not quite on
another thing
command
about, well, yeah, no, me neither. And it's one of those like, oh, do I go and try it on my own bike?
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I was going to say. The day with them, you get loads of time. Did you find that? It's just continue, just keep practicing, and there's just loads of time to practice, loads of space as well, which is great.
Yeah. I'll be doing a vid on it, folks. I have filmed it. I will do a vid on it. It's just I've got loads of stuff in the pipeline at the moment that I'm getting these videos done. But that vid is coming, I promise you, and it's all there. I'll be going back. I definitely will be going back to do another one. I went with a mate of mine who's been on this podcast as well, a chap called Martin Yoxel. He came on, and he's an amputee biker. He lost his right leg from the knee down in a road accident. Car pulled out on him, and he lost his leg there and then. So he was like, I'm going to do this wheelie school, come and do it with me. So I'm like, okay, let's go and do it. So I went and did it. Unbeknown to me, he's been like 3 times before. So we get there, and he's a seasoned hand. He was like, by the end of the day, he's wheeling every time. I said I was getting out wheelied by a one-legged bloke.
I saw pictures of him actually. Yeah, he looked great doing it. Yeah, and it goes to show, like, just keep practicing, because there was someone there on the day that I went that had done it the day before, so he sort of made a weekend of it, and by the end he was pulling some sweet wheelies. Yeah.
We had a guy there when I was there in my group. You get split into groups, don't you? And literally, I think the first run, he popped it on the back wheel and did almost the entire length of the runway. And I was just like, this is how today's going to go then.
Yeah.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Right, next one, the Arctic Rider. This is amazing. Both my kids love your show. My question is, what racetrack would you like to ride that you haven't? And have you ever ridden the Arctic Circle Raceway like Bruce? So,
I've never been to the Arctic Circle.
Have you not? The Arctic Circle Raceway. It's in Norway. It literally is. It's a racetrack just into the Arctic Circle. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's great fun.
Yeah.
You need to get that
Norway
on the show.
Before. Yeah. I've been to Norway, and that's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Stunning. Yeah.
Beautiful. But no, never been to that raceway. Is it icy?
It would be in the winter, yeah, but from about May till about September, it's open.
Yeah.
And they do, because they've got 24-hour daylight up there during the summer. So they have, I think they do like 24-hour races and all sorts up there. Yeah. Cool. It's great. It's a great track as well. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I would probably flip that on its head, because the track that I would like to ride, I think, is Losail in Qatar.
Oh yeah.
Just purely because they mainly ride at night, because it's so hot there. That's what I mean. It's the opposite to the Arctic Circle Raceway. Because I think riding under the stars and under the street lights, I just think that would be epic.
Yeah, it does look awesome on the TV, doesn't it? It looks amazing. Yeah.
And the bikes look so shiny as well, because it's all like twinkly and so not only does the track look great, but I think the experience of riding at night would be really cool as well.
I'd like to do Laguna Seca because of the corkscrew. That just looks mental.
Oh,
looks crazy.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, actually. Yeah.
One day. Part of my plan on the world trip was, because I was doing it on the sports bike, I wanted to do either all the World Super or all the MotoGP tracks and try and do a lap every one. And in my ignorance when I was planning it, I thought, I'll turn up on a Tuesday and that'll be all right. I'll get on and do a lap at the end of the day or something. Nah, I think I managed I maybe did half a dozen tracks, maybe, that I managed to blag a lap of. That was about it.
Yeah.
If that, actually, if that.
Health and safety, that for you, isn't it?
Well, and they were all just being used when I got there. You know, people do track days, don't they? And there's corporate events and all sorts. So, yeah, as you said, they've got to have marshals. Yeah, but anyway, never mind.
Half though is still good going.
It was not one quite half. I would say, probably. Well, I'll not list them, but 4 to 6 maybe I did. Half a dozen maybe. But anyway, Tilly Daniel, no questions, I'm afraid, Bruce. Just let Grace know she's a hero in our house. Xander 7 and Daisy 5 love her. Stan 1 makes motorbike noises when she comes on. Oh, it's my mate Dan Tilly. That's who Tilly Daniel is. Used to work with.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you for watching, guys. Love you for watching. Thank you.
I've just seen the next one. It's from my mate Martin, the one-legged chap that out-wheelied me. It's from Yox Rex. Did you out-wheelie Bruce as well? Thanks very much. Cheers, dude.
I don't know about that. It sounds like we got to a similar level, actually. Like, we're both raring for another day and we want to hold it a bit longer.
Don't be modest. You'll beat me, no problem. CL_LFC. Blimey, mate. May went quick. Maybe. Oh, sorry. Yeah, because I think originally I'd put 24th. Sorry. Originally I put the 13th of June that you were coming on. Sorry. That's just an error that I'd made in the original post. What else do we have here? Quick real watch through. 2 or 4 Wheels Adventure. Keep missing these questions. I've been AWOL, but I'm listening to the podcast and watching the videos too. To the both of you, if Afterlife Transfer was available to a vehicle, then like Knight Rider, what car would you be? Yes, I said car. Right. So you pass on. What car would
you be?
What car would you want to be put into?
I love the film Cars. You know, the Pixar film. Yeah. I just love it. That first one. I think it's just genius what they've done with like making the cars lifelike, and so I think because I saw that question pop up and it made me think of the film, and I was like, oh, so which one would I want to be? Like, do you know? I think I would be. The vehicle I would be like a VW camper van because I think they're still a little bit sporty. I think I'm a bit sporty, and they would go on lots of adventures, and I would like to do that too. That would be the vehicle I would be.
I'd be the old tow truck.
Yeah, Mater. Yeah.
You know the name.
a bit rusty around the edges.
Yeah. It's kind of me. Yeah. Robert, are you okay for time? By the way, are you all right for time?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think we've got many questions left, but got a couple. Robert Newman, 27. Hello, Bruce and Grace. Hope you're both doing great. Grace's program is awesome, and I'm more hooked to CBeebies than my daughter when it's on. What do you guys think about Arch Motorcycles, the company owned by Keanu Reeves? Have you seen them?
Yes, I have. Yeah, like really bespoke bikes, aren't they? Mm-hmm. There was one I saw. I think it was called the Method 143, and that had said that they were only making 23 units of that bike. 23. So that shows how unique they're going to be. I wonder why the number 23 was chosen, but anyway. But I suppose that'd be cool to own something so unique. I guess that's why I love my bike. So if you had one of those, they look really trick as well, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, some lovely.
They got like chunky front forks on that Method 143. I think they look really cool.
Nice. I've
not ridden one, so I can't comment on that. But
well, this is the thing. Yeah, sometimes they look amazing, but they ride like a bag of spanners. But who knows with those? I've never chucked my leg over one, obviously. We had Jody Millhouse from Thornton 100 on last week. Have you heard of them? They do all the custom Triumphs now. They do a lot of the aftermarket parts for the
cool. Some of
the Triumphs. They look stunning. Some of his bikes just look incredible.
Beautiful.
Again, because he puts the big wide wheel on the front. Have you seen some of his where he does the wide wheel extension on the front? Looks cracking.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Yeah, I wonder what they're like to ride. I was trying to chat to him about it. Like, what are they actually like to ride with a big wide front wheel? And he says, depends which model it is. Some of them ride really well, and others not so well. But it depends what bike you're going for and what riding style you have. So.
Yeah, and the distance that you're going to do on those things as well. I suppose you can tolerate some stuff for a short distance.
Yeah,
if it looks cool.
Andy B105 just watched a bit of Grace. She's a cool girl. Who makes what's that say? Who makes all your designer bike? Oh, who makes all your designer bike gear? And when did you buy Anglesey Circuit?
Well, I'll let you into a secret. That doesn't belong to me. But yeah, in terms of the gear, we use all sorts of suppliers. So like me and the crew will look at what safety gear we need and dependent on the different machines, and then we just get it branded up so it looks cool and it matches the branding of the show. But yeah, I think he's referring to, because I say at the beginning of some of the shows that I've come to my track.
Yeah,
Anglesey, and that's just something so that it's nice for the kids to associate a home for me and Speedy to be at. But yeah, often I get asked, "Where's Speedy?" And so then I'll say he's at the track, because our track, he likes to stay there and get good lap times, probably quicker than me.
What's Anglesey like? I've never done it. As a track?
I mean, it's gorgeous to look at because you're right next to the sea. Yeah. But then with that comes weather can be a bit, because you can get a gale coming over. So it's one of those.
In Wales? No way.
If you get a good day, it's really good. If you get a bad day, I've been there with Thundersport sometimes that they've just had to call it because the weather is just so bad. But in terms of riding the track, they've got a corkscrew there, so you can imagine you're at Laguna Seca.
Just like it, yeah.
But yeah, no, they've got a bit of everything there. Like I say, they've got the corkscrew, they've got some nice sweeping corners as well as tighter ones. My niggle with that circuit is that they've got a back straight. So they call it a back straight, but it's not really straight. You've still got some lean going on there. And then at the end of that back straight is a really tight left-hander, slamming on the brakes. So, yeah, there's a lot of guts going into that corner to carry the speed as far as you can.
It's funny, I was always, before I did my trip, I remember people talking about Anglesey and saying, it's just the Welsh Phillip Island. I was like, all right. Then I've been to Phillip Island. It's really not.
Yeah. Bring their weather over here, then you'd be all right.
Second last one. Nick in Knutsford. Who's your favourite all-time Blue Peter presenter?
Blue Peter presenter. Do you know, I've never met her, but I have grown a fondness for Lindsay Russell, who currently presents alongside others Blue Peter now. I found out something about it. I mean, I think she's a great presenter anyway. I love how bubbly she is, and I think she's so natural talking to the guests, and she takes a real interest in where they come from. But I've also recently found out about her that she's a qualified hot air balloon pilot, which Seriously? I was like, it's one of those things you think, I didn't even know that was a thing. And then I was like, I guess it is a thing. And I was like, that's so cool. So yeah, she's like total awesomeness now. I mean, I thought she was great before, but now I know that she's a qualified hot air balloon pilot. I'm like, that is awesome. Yeah, so hopefully I get to meet her one day. It's a shame that a lot of us from CBeebies or CBBC, from the children's side, lockdown sort of hindered us meeting each other. So, you know, we'll send messages to each other online, but actually meeting each other is still yet to happen for a lot of us. So hopefully that will happen one day soon, and I'll get to meet Lindsay Russell.
Just think what the next sort of corporate night out type awardsy type do is going to be like.
Epic.
That's the one to focus on, isn't it? Yeah. Everyone will be in the toilet by 9 o'clock throwing up, won't they? They'll just nobody can handle their booze anymore. Blue Peter for me, I think it would be. Oh, I'm going to show my age here. Was it Peter Duncan? I think it's Peter Duncan. The old people out there like me, they'll be going yes or no. I can't. I think it was Peter Duncan. I think that was his name. I just remember. Was it Goldie? Was the Golden Lab? God, this is back in the early 80s, mid 80s. That's when I remember
some bells for me.
Look at you,
the name rings a bell, but I'm not sure if I could pick them out of a lineup.
I think it's Peter Duncan, purely because my next door neighbour when I was born, Willie Cordner, he was a fisherman out of Peterhead, off in the North Sea boats. And that Blue Peter presenter, I think is Peter Duncan. They did a thing on fishing in the North Sea, and they went out on Willie's boat. So I remember seeing Willie on the telly, and this presenter being violently ill because couldn't cope with the seas out there. It was horrendous.
I can empathise with that. I'm not good on the sea.
Yeah, I'm terrible now. I used to be fine, but as I've got older, I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, I've noticed that actually. Yeah, getting worse as I get older.
It's the worst feeling as well, isn't it? Like seasickness, when you get proper seasickness.
You can't avoid it, can you? You can't go anywhere. You just can't. You just got to ride it out, haven't you?
Horrible.
Yeah,
I feel ill just thinking about it. Right, last question from last question. Chat 746. Keep up the good work, Bruce. Your brew times are keeping me sane. Thank you very much. Question for Grace. Which machine is the most amazing, and do you have to do any training to drive them, ride, or operate them?
Well, of course, they're all amazing. But I think, like I said before, the Superbike was a great day. In terms of training, I mean, some of them like the Superbike or the supercar is operated how you imagine like a normal bike or a normal car. But some machines have some obscure controls that I will have a bit of time to practice on and have a few runs before the camera starts rolling. But it's all usually shot within an afternoon. So
wow,
there's not that much time. So it's, yeah. I mean, we do always have a go, and we check that I'm safe. You know, the crew is all in the right place. They're safe, and everything's good to go. So, and it all comes together.
So, do you know what It's All Right on the Night is? Do you know what that is?
No.
I can show my blooming age here. It used to be a show that was just full of bloopers. It was called It'll Be All Right on the Night. And it was just full of bloopers from all around the world. What would be your sort of top blooper then that you've had so far?
Oh God. Oh, there's been many. Well, funny enough, you mentioned about feeling sick. There was one machine. We filmed a seaplane, and
I feel already.
That was actually I'd only just taken the job on, and this was the first machine we filmed. And I think the crew was probably thinking, "Oh, who have we got for all of these other machines?" So we set off from land, and the idea was that we would then fly to a body of water and land the seaplane to show it on water and in the sky. So we'd set off, and we're in in the air, and right, it's all going good so far. But I think a commercial plane had recently been through our path before us. So we sort of travelled through their vortex. So the RC plane sort of jerked and suddenly went up and down. And at this point, I was like, whew, feeling it a little bit now. So there's me like, I'm trying to talk to the camera saying how good it is, because it was amazing and it's good, and I'm taking the controls and look what we can see and everything. And but like in between each line I'd go feeling a little bit ill. So I had like done as much as I could, and it got to the point where I sort of said to the pilot next to me, because it was very small, so it was only me and the pilot, and then my producer was in the back seat. So I said to the pilot, I was like, I'm feeling a bit ill now. Are there any sick bags nearby? And he's like, yeah, check in the door pocket kind of thing. So I'm checking the door pocket. There's no sick bags.
Oh,
and I'm like, guys, anything, just anything, find me anything. So the producer found me a empty camera bag that had safety holes in the bottom of it, and he's like, just here, use this. So I ended up being sick in that, and he's like frantically trying to disconnect all the cameras. But he did like to show me a few months down the line. He's like, oh, I didn't manage to cut this camera off. Do you want to see? And I was like, oh, God, you need to delete that footage until someone sees it.
That's going to rear its head one day, don't you?
It's going to come to the surface one day, isn't it? Like, oh, dear. And, yeah, like I say, this was my first day on the job. And the producer's in the back, and I'm sure he's thinking, what have we done? But I didn't realise I kind of felt it that bad. And like you say, it's kind of as I'm getting older, it's getting worse. And it's frustrating because heights don't particularly bother me and that kind of thing. It's just the motion of, it must be like an inner ear thing, isn't it? Because
I don't know what it is, because I don't get it all the time. It's just, sometimes I get it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was all right until it kind of went really jerky, but my ears pop quite easily, so I don't know if I've just got sensitive ears or something. But now I take a little sick bag around with me for just in case times.
Be prepared.
I don't want to have that situation again where no one can find a bag.
God, horrible,
so that would probably be my ultimate blooper.
Right then, before we go, how about we move on to the future then? So you have the new YouTube show called Driving Electric that you co-present on.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
This is a platform all about electric cars. So the idea of Driving Electric is a channel and a web space where you can go to find news, reviews, advice, tips, facts, all of these kind of things to do with driving electric. So I would really recommend going to have a look at their website or their YouTube channel if you're, as a lot of us are, looking to move to electric driving. They'll give you tips and advice from things like how to charge up an electric car to reviews of the latest electric sports car, that kind of thing. So it's just a hive of information where you can find out anything you need with regards to driving electric. So, and that's how the world is moving towards. So I'm really excited to be a part of the team at this time when we're inevitably gonna go towards electric. So yeah, I'm learning so much on the job as well. So it's a great place to go if you've got anything you want to find out about that. If you're not sure about anything, it's really digestible information.
Cool. And do you think will they have motorbikes on that eventually as well, or is it purely cars?
Well,
watch this
since
space.
I've joined the team, I'm like, right, guys, what I think is a good idea. So I think yes, we will end up going along that route of introducing electric bikes, and especially seeing like how they compare to electric cars as well, and so that the idea that it's not biased, it's just this place where you can find stuff out so that you can make an informed choice
Mm.
about electric driving. So yeah, so I do think, again, watch this space. Electric
Awesome.
bikes will be making a show.
Cool. Have you had any contact with a company called English Electric Motor Company?
No, I haven't. What are
They're,
they?
they're one of the premier sort of dealer stroke distributors for electric motorbikes in the country. I've done quite a bit of work with them now, and they are really savvy in terms of social media platforms, getting out there, spreading the word. So I'm sure they would love to speak with you, and they could get you on a bike or different bikes if you wanted to try them out. So if you're
Oh,
interested in anything
brilliant.
like that, I'll send you a point of contact for them, and I'm sure they would bite your hand off to let you try the range that they've got.
Yeah, brilliant. I'll check them out. Yeah.
Cool, no problem at all. Grace, I'm done. That's all our questions. Thank you very much for bearing with us.
Oh no, it's been great. Thank you to everyone who sent their questions in, and thank you for having me, Bruce. It's been so much fun. My glass is now pretty much empty.
It's our pleasure, our pleasure. Before we go, are there any shout outs you want to give, any plugs you want to give? Stage is yours, feel free.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, so you can catch me on Instagram where I'll be posting like the latest news and events and stuff that I'm doing. So you can catch me on there. You can find me on CBeebies as well, which is on iPlayer anytime you like. Check out Driving Electric as well, which has got loads of upcoming stuff with regards to electric driving. And I hope we can get out to some live events soon so I can meet some of you guys in person, which would be great. So yeah, stay
Absolutely.
posted on my website and Instagram because I'll whatever's happening, I'll post on there.
Beautiful. I'll put all those links down in the show notes for the podcast or in the vid description for the YouTube vid. So make sure you check them out and give a follow. Grace, thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed it. It's fantastic to meet you. I love what you're doing. It's great to see the effect you're having, not only on the dads out there, but also in the younger generations as they're coming through. So thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much.
No problems. Folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. Well, we're almost there, aren't we? We're pretty much almost free. So keep on doing your thing, look after those that you love, but most importantly, get on out there and live your life. Woo-ha! Thank you so much, Grace. I really appreciate that. It's been lovely to chat with you.
Ah, that was brilliant, Bruce. Thank you so much.